Hi there, and welcome to the Call to Cinema. My name is Aaron, and we're in a new location today, which we will talk about in a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about 4K and 4K collecting. One of the more maligned and kind of pushed back on formats that we've had in recent years. Not since the days of the Laserdisc have I seen something get so unfairly criticized. See, a lot of people coming into the 4K market right now are looking at it through the boutique label lens. And with that, we're getting a lot of people looking at it through the most expensive way that you can buy a 4K. But it's also the most expensive way that you can get a Blu-ray, or the most expensive way that you can maybe get like bundled sets. And that's that's great that options out there, but that's not the only options when it comes to 4K. Well, let's start back at the beginning. So it was Black Friday, and it was the last generation of the console wars. You know, the PlayStation 4 against the Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 was clearly beating. I had a PS4 myself, and I wanted to grab an Xbox because I'm not a person that has one console format. I usually like to have them both. But nothing was really grabbing me towards the Xbox as of yet until they announced this Xbox One S. See, Sony had gone out and made this new format called 4K. And I was very curious about it at the time. I really wanted to dive into it. Except that my PlayStation 4, although it was Sony, it was their latest, didn't play 4K. And some of the 4K players at the time were a bit costlier. And I didn't yet have a 4K TV, so I really couldn't see myself just buying a dedicated 4K player at that time, since I didn't have a dedicated TV to it. 4K TVs were not as prevalent then as they are right now, where basically almost all your average TVs are 4K, and if you're getting a 1080p, it's usually for a cabin or an extra room. You know, it's just getting to that point where that's all there is at Walmart when you go there. So I thought about grabbing it, and I didn't. There was a big sale on at Walmart, and the Xboxes were really really marked down, and they just come out. Now I might have thought about grabbing it and didn't, but my better half is always thinking ahead. Because of that, when we got home, the surprise that she had for me was that she had gone out and bought the Xbox One S with the 4K capability. And because of, we're kind of excited, we said, okay, we were going to Best Buy later on that day. And this was the time when Best Buy still had physical media, and they usually had like a lot of it during like especially during like the Black Friday sales. So we decided to look around. And as we're looking through, uh, this came up. This is The Mummy, Tom Cruise. Not a very highly critically lauded movie, that's for sure. But we wanted to see it, and we hadn't seen the movie yet. Now, because I guess it was The Mummy, the 4K and the Blu-ray edition were almost the same price. In fact, the 4K edition was a little bit cheaper than the edition that came out for the for the Blu-ray. And we knew at that point we had a Xbox. We only had a 1080p TV, but this had a 4K Ultra HD and a Blu-ray plus digital. So either way, we were set to watch it. We later on when we got a 4K TV, we'd be able to watch the 4K edition, but we still had the Blu-ray to watch now. So having that option and being and when a new format comes out and we think that looks like it's gonna go well, we think they're gonna collect it. Uh, what we kind of end up doing is we start to think ahead. Okay, if this has 4K and Blu-ray and it's the same price or cheaper, or it's like maybe $1 or $2 in the difference, maybe it's best for us to buy the option that gives us all the options, so that down the road we're not rebuying something. one of the biggest complaints that people have when they're going into a new format is that they don't want to have to rebuy everything that they've already got, and you really don't need to. But as you're going forward with certain titles, there may be certain ones that you want to get and in 4K. Because here's the thing, our idea was that, say for instance, something happened and we got stuck at home. For thinking, I tell you, then it will be great to be able to have that cinematic movie experience in our own home. And that was one of the selling points beyond 4K. See, aside from the fact that this is region free, so that means anywhere in the world that I want to watch this, I can put it on one of my gaming consoles or on a my now dedicated 4K player, and watch it. Is a great thing actually. I don't have to worry about region locking or any of that type of stuff. Blu-rays you still do. 4Ks you don't. And one of the big aspects to this for us was like, okay, this is great. And once we get a 4K TV, it'll be excellent. So that night, just after my better half went to bed, I was up surfing the web like I always do, and looking at, doing window shopping, looking at 4K TVs and stuff like that. And I noticed that one of the places that we went to a lot had a massive deal for Black Friday on 4K TVs. I thought about and thought against waking my better half and telling her about it, but we had a long day, and I decided not to. In fact, we had such a long day that night I decided, okay, I'm not going to go in the room and bother, so I just scooted over to the guest room, watched some stuff till I fell asleep because I didn't want to go in the middle of the night and wake her up. But that next morning, right there, coming into the room excitedly, is my better half, because she has also now discovered the big sale. We did some research, and we got our first 4K TV. It arrived a week later, and we watched The Mummy, and we kind of liked it. I know some people, a lot of people don't, but yeah, we were definitely fine with it. Now we noticed right away that it looked a bit darker than the Blu-rays did. It took a bit getting used to. The first thing I decided to do was I went on ratings, RTI and GS, and looked up my TV, and then I went and I put in the right modifications to make sure that I was getting my 4K picture optimized, so that it looked the best that it could on my TV. It made a massive difference. Now, there's a slightly darker look to 4K because if you go and watch a movie in the cinema, it is. It does have a more, it's not artificially brightened, is the best way to put it. And it does look, when a 4K is done good, the same when a Blu-ray or a DVD are done well, then they look amazing. They look like they're movie theater quality. And that's what people want to get. When they're not done well, they're Terminator 2, and they look like wax figures. So I know, trust me, I can say that because I bought Terminator 2 for $9.99, but still $9.99 too much to spend for something like that. Now, with that being said, let's just go through some of my favorite experiences, and as we go through, I'll give you some recommendations, and you'll get to see a bit of some of my likes and dislikes, and some of what I thought are some of the better 4Ks for me. I'm not going to go too technical into this because that's not the type of video this is. But let's talk about The Happening. As alluded to before, the world changed, life changed, and we were home. We weren't able to go to theaters the way that we wanted to before, or even to our local drive-in, which is one place we did get to go to more. Plus, we decided to do something different. See, as much as we love going to the theaters, we couldn't always get there, and it was around a 40-minute drive to get to our local theater once we put in the gas, how much it costs for the tickets, how much it costs for popcorn and drinks and nachos and all that stuff that we get once we go there. It gets to be pretty pricey. And then we looked at the price of 4Ks when they were coming out. We went to our local Walmart and realized, you know, we can own a movie that we haven't seen that we want to watch for less than the cost that it would take us to go to the theater to watch it. Now, obviously, there's certain films we want to see in theater, but this opens up other options for us to see movies that my better half, for instance, she's slightly younger than me, wasn't able to see in theaters that I saw, um, to see movies that I wasn't able to see in theaters that like at home, with the theater with the cinematic like styling to it, both sound and picture, and above that to be able to see new movies that we wanted to enjoy just by going to our local Walmart or Best Buy and picking them up on release day, because release day is always cheaper, and coming home and having that cinematic experience without the high cost overhead. Because although you can look at some 4Ks now and say, well, this is kind of expensive, this is pricey, you see one's going like $60, $70 up towards like that. For a lot of the regular 4K releases, and especially as you were going through, you realize that if you're there on release day, a lot of times you can buy things for fairly cheap. And I do mean fairly cheap. Like Blu-ray level cheap. So let's look at some of the releases that we grabbed. Starting with one of the very first. And it was a box set. See, my better half and I are massive fans of Christopher Nolan. Where we differ is that I preferred the Tim Burton Batman films, and she was a massive fan of the Nolan films, to the point where we have like a Blu-ray, like big set with the the Batmobile tunnel or whatever it's called, and a whole bunch of stuff and art cards and that. But when she realized that she could get the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy on 4K, it was a game changer for her. See, one of the things that she looked at, even before we got the TV, after we picked it up, is that she, like me, she loves to watch movies, and but she has the type that she likes. One of her favorite directors is Christopher Nolan. One of my favorites going now is Nolan. I think that absolutely everything he does has been pretty genius. Oppenheimer, excellent film and great use of sound. I still have to get the 4K of that one. But this was a given. This was on sale at Best Buy, and after we realized we were getting the TV, we went back to Best Buy and decided, let's look at the on sale 4Ks now, because we know we have the coming, so we can start up a 4K library. And we had some it was at the time we had some little extra money, so we were wanting to grab some 4K releases. So we grabbed The Dark Knight, and when we did that, just so you can see, these are beautiful 4Ks, by the way. A lot of features to it. We thought, if we're going to get The Dark Knight, and we're massive Christopher Nolan fans, we might as well look around there and go all in. So we picked up, on that same day, Interstellar, another excellent Nolan film. Inception, this is probably my favorite of Nolan's work. But again, great stuff. And one that we hadn't yet seen, because it had just recently come out and we missed it in the theaters, and that was Dunkirk. One of the really big selling points for this was that I'm an audiophile, and Dunkirk had its original audio theatrical mix in here. So that was something that I was really intrigued with checking out. And up to that point, Inception had been my favorite, and probably still is my favorite, though I go back and forth, because I think Dunkirk is just such an underrated piece of work from Nolan. thanks to a wonderfully brilliant film. And Nolan wise, it didn't stop there. For we would check out a series that his brother did as well. It would be our first TV series to get on 4K, and it would be Westworld. One of the best pilots I've ever seen is Westworld. It just such has such a great pilot. At this point, I've only seen the first like season and a half. I haven't seen the rest of Westworld yet. Hopefully, it stands up to the quality of the first season. But it was excellent. It was our first TV show in 4K. But there would be more. So we were also massive superhero fans and watched a lot of the movies because we read a lot of the comics and we're big geeks like that. So the second box set that we picked up that very same day was this one right here. It is the well, I guess it's the DCEU, the original DCEU. We got Man of Steel here, which I'd had on Blu-ray. Uh, Batman v Superman, which I didn't. Wonder Woman, which I didn't have at all, and Suicide Squad, which I also didn't have. Now, I'm not going to pretend these are all great films, but man, were the more fun to watch on with 4K. This one had an extended cut with it. I think most of these here had like bunches of special features, sometimes alternate cuts, ultimate edition of films, and this is probably the best film out of these four in the box set, in my opinion. But that being said, I can still enjoy any of these. I do think that some of the more fervent fanboyishness, unfortunately, much like we get with 4K, like when somebody says, "I'm not going to buy this," and this is one of the things that causes the problems. I won't. I, maybe I'll wait till 4K. Maybe I'll wait to see if this comes to 4K. And say it with like things like TV shows or shot on video, where you're not going to get a 4K, or if you do, it doesn't really need it. I got Starsky and Hutch. You can see it right in the background, right? I never expect that to be on 4K, and I would be amazed if it was something that ever did, because it's honestly great if it does, but it doesn't need it. Shot on video films definitely don't need to be in 4K. Um, but we were massive fans of superheroes, so, and we're not like tribalists when it comes to like, oh, I like DC or like Marvel. We just watch them all. We enjoy them all. So, of course, you gotta get the Avengers films. So we saw both of these in theater, and we love the experience of these. This was epic filmmaking, truly at its its core. Like this, these are extremely well done, and they hold up to the test of time. It's just such a good series of films that it made it really hard to afterwards to like to follow that up, because you had to like start over with a whole new like cast of characters, and trust me, some people can get pretty whiny about that stuff. Um, but we grabbed Thor Ragnarok. I will tell you this: when it comes to some of these earlier Marvel 4K releases, you got to crank the sound, because the sound on it is not as heightened as it should be. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to with Sony doing the releases in the future. Sony's always done great releases, whether it be Blu-ray or 4K. The audio and video mixes on a Sony release very rarely is anything but stellar. Let's give you a bit of some like the ideas of some of the stuff that I like as well. Of course, Black Panther. I love the Black Panther film. The first one was really, really good, and this was a day one buy. Actually, everything I'm going to show you, by the way, were things that I bought when they came out. There were, unless it was something that was given to me, and I'll actually like preface that when I get to that. But it'll give an idea of maybe a bit about my taste as well, and a bit of like how different it is and unique to be able to get that stuff like that. I love the movie Deadpool. I actually have Deadpool 2 as well. I just don't have it here in this with these for today because what yeah you can show one and it yeah, so I grabbed this immediately with the second it came out. I grabbed Logan the very first day that we got the 4K player. Now, what was really neat is that I grabbed the initial copy of Logan. It didn't have the Logan Noir version there, so there was a disc that had the 4K black and white version of Logan. Now, a viewer sent them to me, sent me the Logan Noir discs, and I was able to upgrade to this. I actually have the old Logans without the black and white, but it's really really cool, by the way, in black and white. Into the Spider Verse was a amazing cinematic experience for us. We couldn't get over the art styling and the visuals and just how well it was done. So this was again a day one buy. I watched Captain Marvel twice in the theater. I'm a massive fan of Captain Marvel right from the beginning. I remember like the original Captain Marvel. But I'd be lying if I didn't say this wasn't like for me, it wasn't the best, you know, Captain Marvel that there was. Um, love the original, but what I wanted to see the original, like Captain Marvel come into a film, considering the way that Captain Marvel went and the way that his story was constructed, it wasn't viable to have him in there. For those who don't know, the original character of Captain Marvel um, originally came out initially because Marvel wanted to get that trademark of Captain Marvel, and they hadn't before. So the idea behind the concept of the character really kind of came later and kind of got fleshed out. Now, one of the things about Captain Marvel, though, is that he dies of cancer. He doesn't get killed by a villain or anything like that. He actually dies and he does not come back. But the in the comic, there was a character, Carol Danvers, that was in there from early on from Captain Marvel. And she gets her own powers and becomes Miss Marvel, and eventually she becomes Captain Marvel. And they're probably the most entertaining Captain Marvel comic books out of them all. I do like Peter David's run with kind of like Captain Marvel's son, but this Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, and the fact that Brie Larson plays it so kind of like aloof is some people find a bit putting or challenging, but for me it was like this is the way a character like this really has to be played and to come across. Like you get to know them better later because that aloofness should be there. Punisher, I'm a massive Punisher fan. I'm still waiting for the 1988 version to come out on 4K. The Thomas Jane's Punisher was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. Punisher Warzone, violence wise, is much more like the comic, and Ray Stevenson, rest in peace, does a great job for what he's given. I do find that the Dominic Purcell's Jigsaw is given a bit too much of over the topness, but still, it's a good one. So we picked up Hin's Christopher Nolan Batman films. There was no way we weren't going to pick up mine. These were all theater experiences for me. These are all ones that I truly loved and truly enjoyed. From 1989's Batman, I saw this with a busted leg. I was on crutches. Batman Returns, I remembered this came out. I remember watching this in theater. Batman Forever, I had the soundtrack. I had the comic book. Just really was a massive fan. I thought Val Kilmer did a great job. I thought Jim Carrey did a great job. I thought Tommy Lee Jones didn't. Thankfully, Aaron Eckhart fixed that. And Batman and Robin. It was a choice that I enjoyed, actually. I enjoy Batman and Robin. Is it a good film? Yeah, not really. But is it a fun film? Yes. Does this look good in 4K? Holy crap, yes. Man, Joel Schumacher knows one thing really well when it comes to these films. He knows visuals. The color and like the brightness and just the way that it looks, it's insanely good. We go from there to the Star Wars universe, and again, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so A New Hope I had to have, Empire Strikes Back I had to have. I'd seen all these in theater, and my better half's favorite is Return of the Jedi. My favorite is Empire Strikes Back of the original trilogy. Isn't it odd when most people talk about Star Wars, it's either Empire Strikes Back or people will be outliers on Return of the Jedi, but very rarely do you have somebody that says their favorite is the first film. I never really just thought about it until just that right now, but it's true. I've never heard anybody say, yeah, the first film's my favorite one. Some other that we picked up that we hadn't seen and we picked up on day one was Solo. Fun for what it is not. It's a little bit. It's a space heist film, and there's some pretty cringe moments, but I'm glad I got it and I've watched it more than once. My favorite of the Star Wars films that were made is this one right here, of the newer ones, Rogue One. I just really like this one. Some people find this super depressing, but I liked Rogue One. I just thought they did a really, really good job of this one here, and it's a prequel and a great prequel. And now I'm going to get controversial. I enjoyed the hell of the Last Jedi. I probably liked it more than a lot of people, and I'll put their way because although I don't think they always took the right choices, I think they at least took choices and took chances. And I feel that as much as I like the first one, and I have it, there's a lot of fan service. And when it comes to the third one, there's a lot of course correcting for fan service. It's almost like he was scared to go outside those boundaries and make something new. So he kind of relied on going back to what we've seen before, including bringing back a villain we'd seen before, rather than diving into other aspects or newer villains. There are so many other options that they could have went with, but I won't nitpick on that. We'd seen John Wick in the theater, and we knew we had to have this. John Wick 2, we grabbed immediately. Again, another day one buy for us when it comes to this. For nostalgia, for me, for nostalgia porn, Top Gun. Now, here's the thing. I didn't remember really... I like Top Gun, but I remember loving Top Gun. I remember loving the soundtrack and some of the visuals. When I rewatched this movie, I realized, wow, this is such a recruitment film. But two, it's a good film. It's really well constructed. It's shallow. It is literally cotton candy film. But man, is this a way to see it. Unless you're going to see Top Gun in the theater, Top Gun should be in 4K. Another one that we watched at home that we didn't go to the theater to see, and we were super stoked about it. Detective Pikachu. I'm a massive Pokemon fan, like the series. So this is based on I'm on the Pokemon video game series. Detective Pikachu was really good. It just goes to show you how good Ryan Reynolds is. Blu-ray includes Detective Mode, which I've never checked out, by the way. Watch Pokemon Detective Pikachu like you've never seen it before and discover a world of hidden clues, behind-the-scenes footage, pop-up trivia. Oh, I may watch that, actually. But yeah, this was really good. We were glad that we got that. Sent from a viewer was this one right here. And I watch this every Christmas, so I was really glad to have this one. It is Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. It's a wonderful film, and it gets me every time. It's a yearly watch for me. Same, I watch this and Black Christmas. Yeah, I know it's a weird combination, right? But that's how I do it. And the neat thing is, you get a Blu-ray, a second disc, which has the color edition of it. So if you Ever grew up watching it on like Turner Classic Movies? Not Turner TNT really. Then you could remember when they colorized it. Here's another at-home one that we didn't see in theater that we really loved was Tomb Raider. I was really hoping and waiting to get a second one of this, a follow-up. So I play all the Tomb Raider games and the more modern like games, say the Xbox 360s games. This is kind of where it leans towards when they kind of like went into her past, and it was a really good game. So I think it was Rise of the Tomb Raider, but this kind of follows along that lines, and the actress is really damn good. She just has this, you get to see her kind of becoming the Tomb Raider, like Laura Croft character that we know. Controversy time again. Next two films are films that I really enjoy. Next three films are films that I really enjoyed that would overall get bad ratings with a lot of viewers. But when you're doing up your personal collection, this should be films that you like. Don't ever look into stuff. Don't think, okay, I got to get this movie because somebody else has it or because somebody says it's great. And if say and you're not sure you don't like it, let it be. Let your taste reflect you. Or for some people, say for me, sometimes lack of taste, right? Because I loved Ready Player One. We got this. This is so much fan service. It is so much. All the stuff I complain about for Star Wars, it's all in here. This is fan service movie. It really is. And there's a sequence in this that's not in the book, because I have read the book, and it's the Shining sequence. Not only that, I'm pretty sure it's not in the book, but there's some characters change because of licensing issues. The Shining one is the one that's done not digitally, not on green screen, but the Shining sequence is done practical, and it's really good. It's really, really good. Actually had a lot of fun with this movie. There's so many just fun Easter eggs with Ready Player One, and it was a shame that they didn't follow up with Ready Player Two because I would have been interested in seeing it. Next up was another one that I was always surprised not more people talked about or got into. So Atomic Blonde. It is a fun kind of James Bondian, Jason Bourne-esque spy thriller with Charlize Theron playing a totally original character. So anytime people go and complain, like they're doing James Bond, right? They're going to do new James Bond soon, and they're picking an actor for James Bond, and they'll always like talk about, okay, maybe they'll pick a female. They're not going to. That's not going to be a thing. And then people say, well, why don't you make an original character instead? Why don't you do an original character? They do. They make original characters right here. It's right here. It's literally right here. You got to watch it, though. You got to watch original characters when they make them. Because if you don't, you can't complain if they change like a character that you like. Right here. See this? Atomic Blonde. This is your James Bond. This is your female James Bond. So don't come back and complain to me afterwards. If down the road they change it, and like, well, how come they didn't make an original? I preferred if they made an original character. Well, they did. You didn't watch it. There we go. Maybe you did, but some people didn't. Murder on the Orient Express is not only a beautiful 4K and amazing 4K. It is a fantastic film. Now, the mustache, yeah, it's a little big, right? But still, it's a great film, and it's a classic one. These next four were sent to me by a viewer, and I was so excited to get these, and I because I'm a massive fan. So we have First Blood, which is my favorite in this series of film, and then we have Rambo: First Blood Part 2, which is a fun actioner, and I actually didn't initially like this one, but I kind of got into it after. I was kind of snobby. I was like, this is not as it's not as highbrow as First Blood. And then Rambo 3, which kind of makes no sense because it was First Blood 2, Rambo, right? But okay, I guess somewhere along the lines, if you want to make a Rambo 2, they can always do that, right? And then of course Rambo. This is the extended cut. What is this? It's basically a slasher movie. You think I'm joking, but I'm not. So let's clear it up with a couple extra titles I want to talk about. Oh, the horror of it all. Let's look at some horror films on 4K. Let's start off with a controversial one, Halloween. So this is pre-Scream Factory. This was the original Halloween that came out. It was done by Lionsgate, and some people thought it was too muted, it was darker, that the colors were off. Now, people that had seen the movie originally in theaters said that this was a closer look to what Halloween was in theater than what they'd seen with previous ones, with artificial brightening or different colorization put in there. But still, it wasn't the optimal version of it. Now, that being said, when I watched this, it was like a revelation because I was seeing Michael in places that I didn't remember ever seeing Michael at before, and that was it was so well done. Now, I would upgrade to the Shout Factor edition for all those bonus features and that brand new transfer, but this one, don't think this is ever leaving my collection. I'm really excited that I got this. It was one of the first 4K like horror that I bought. Other stuff that I picked up was Pet Cemetery, the original. Just I'm a massive fan of this film, and it's one that I just really enjoy watching. I watched this one with my late aunt. Unfortunately, my aunt Marion, who passed away, um, but she was pregnant at the time, and she rented this, and she was unaware like what was gonna happen. But yeah, needless to say, it was a bit traumatizing for her at the time. Okay, I have the slip cover for this one, by the way, but I just got to put away because people ask me, "Do you have the slip? Do you have the original slip?" It's so hard to find. Yes, I do. Um, but it's Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's not my favorite Dracula. It's my sister's Dracula. Like both my sisters were really into this one. But it's just such a beautiful film. The visuals are just so great, and I managed to get it with the slipcover for extremely cheap. So I could not grab it at that. Now here's one my better half likes a lot that I don't get to talk about enough, and it's Van Helsing. A lot of people hate this movie. I actually bought this on Blu-ray for my better half. I bought it like a special collector's edition with which had three Universal horror movies on it. You know the one I'm talking about? Now this one doesn't have that, but adds a whole bunch of features. It's a 4K edition. It looks really good actually. Some sequences look really really good. Uh, is it hampered a bit by the fact that some of the CGI is pretty dodgy, and 4K is going to show that a bit better? Well, that's on the film. It's not on the 4K. But yeah, sometimes that's the thing. 4K, if it's dodgy CGI, it's going to be dodgy CGI, uh, especially when it looks better. I also unequivocally love Dracula Untold. A lot of people hate on this one, and I think undeservedly so, because it was a better start for the dark universe than the Mummy was, and I didn't mind the Mummy. It was what it was, but Dracula Untold was a better start for the dark universe, and they decided not to go with it. It's a shame. It Chapter One, I have yet to buy it. Chapter Two, though I've seen it, uh, was freaky. I turned this on for my better half. She got to this. She got to the basement scene. Not even when Jordy goes outside. Uh, and sees me. It's Pennywise. No, she got to the basement scene. She couldn't watch it, but I had a blast. I love it so. One we talked about a lot after we watched it. We sat down, we watched it, and we were kind of quiet. And we didn't really think about it. Well, we thought about it, but we didn't really say anything. We said that was interesting. And we're driving in the car the next day, and I'm like, "Do you want to talk about this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I really do." And it was mother. It was mother. Um, this we really enjoyed this film, and we talked about it for hours afterwards. Just like the basically the whole plot, the symbolism, like the way that it was done, though. It just it really like you either it's a love or hate film. We both loved it. And even though like some symbolism was pretty like on the nose, of course, A Quiet Place with Emily Blunt and her husband John Krasinski, fantastic film. Love this movie. American Psycho. It's fun. It's funny as hell. It's satirical. Some people take this way too so like, oh, I like Patrick Bateman. I want to be like Patrick Bateman. They don't get that, he's the bad guy. He's crazy. but yeah, no, never want to idolize Patrick Bateman any more than you want to idolize people in the Boiler Room or Wall Street. Uh, and last but not least is a collection of the first three in the Purge series, because one of these is out and out a horror film, albeit a very cheesy one, and the other two go into straightforward action films with like, I guess, a bit of suspense more so in the second and third. By the third, we're really hitting into the action territory. Frank Grillo is like one of those guys that, man, he's kind of the Punisher, right? And he's almost got the name like Frank Grillo. He's got a Punisher type of name to him. But in conclusion, I want to thank you if you watched this entire video, watch me ramble on about movies that I enjoyed, about 4K releases, about give my thoughts on some of these here. Because I know this took about a bit of your time, and I appreciate that. What you're seeing in the background here is one of my upstairs areas. So we have this is a two-room condo, two-bedroom condo, and in one of the rooms we put a lot of like the TV shows and stuff that I enjoy, stuff that I like, and a lot of their collection stuff. Like here we have like my dad will appreciate this, the Force Awakens 3D set, which I know my dad has, and it's just a great release. Now we got the Terminator and movies anthology there, the Planet of the Apes. We'll do like a video, like focusing on this area. If you want to see it, let me know if you want to see it, and we can do a video like really focusing on what's here and why it's here. And there's more to this room, by the way. With that being said, my name is Aaron. Thank you so much for joining me on this 4K journey, and I will see you next time, right here in the Call to Cinema. Now be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Now, as opposed to like our regular donation thing, and super chats, what we have signed up for the Buy Me a Coffee, and if you want to help support the channel, and you're not somebody that wants to come in and like you want to do the Patreon, but you want to come in and like maybe give one-time support or just help out. It does really help out when it comes to the channel and upgrading things, equipment, and getting more films and stuff in here, and so it's always really appreciated. And it's a new link that we put on all of our videos now, and it's the simplest, easiest way to do it, and more goes towards the channel and less goes towards others. When you super chat or super sticker, it helps out the channel, but they take 30%. When you do the Buy Me a Coffee option, they only take 5%. So more gets to go towards the creators when you do that. So anytime you're looking at helping like one of your a creator you want to like help out, and you're not ready or able to go for like the full Patreon thing, or you just want to do like a one-time donation, or just then the better option for you is to use the Buy Me a Coffee, because more of it will go towards the creator, which means that they get used more to go towards making even more videos. With that being said, have a wonderful evening. Above all, come in and enjoy yourself. That's the most important thing. And I will see you next time, right here in the Call to Cinema.